Last time we learned how the largely self-regulated fund management industry has a vested interest in maintaining the status quo, with active investing holding sway over passive. Human beings have a tendency towards overconfidence, and that's reflected in the way we invest. Active funds are widely advertised, passive funds aren't, and nor do they command much media attention. So what does the future hold for the passive approach when fund management companies are spending vast amounts of our money trying to convince us that active is best? Can passive really challenge that perception people have that if only they find the right manager, they will beat the market? Well, actually, passive has been growing in popularity in the United States for many years, and all the signs are that it's starting to take off here in Britain as well. When a company called Vanguard introduced the first index fund for individual investors in 1976, critics said it wouldn't catch on. It's now one of America's largest investment companies with more than $1.5 trillion of assets under management, and it's expanding worldwide.
When we first opened our London office in 2009, we had 3 employees there. And I think in the first couple of months, there were 100 different articles written about us coming to the UK. And I said that was the best press coverage per employee of anywhere in the world. And what it really underscored for us was, I think the British financial press saw, we call it the Vanguard effect. Bringing somebody like us into the market would put a much more focus on cost, diversification, quality of service, and so forth.
In fact, Vanguard believes that passive investing has far greater potential in the UK because the cost of active fund management is higher over here than it is in the US.
Investors in the UK are paying very high costs to gain exposure to the market. We're very excited about our opportunities to expand here because we think by offering a very low-cost way of gaining exposure to the marketplace will provide a great service to investors.
I think passive investing is going to go through one of these exponential growth periods. That's really our bet in the UK. I think it would not be surprising to me that if that's 7% of retail assets that are currently passively managed double in the next decade, that would not shock me at all.
Although passive still accounts for a very small share of the retail investment market, in other words, the market for individual investors, institutional investors already have 30% of their portfolios invested in passive funds.
The trend is definitely towards more money being invested in passive as investors become aware of the fact that performance over long periods of time is very good for passive funds and the costs are very low. And a very important ingredient of a good performance is the low cost. And the research has suggested that low cost is in fact a good predictor of future performance.
One of the companies helping individual investors to take advantage of the lower costs and higher than average returns offered by passive investing is Barnett Ravenscroft Wealth Management.
We got together and we decided that we needed to assess everything properly, and we took time out over a period of about 2 years. We were just looking through all the academic research that was available, and it became evident, after looking at what was out there, that the passive approach was best not only for Barnett Ravenscroft as a firm, but for all our clients.
I think for once we've actually got to say, what are we in this business for? Is to service the client and make sure that they're the ones that are successful. It's not about that client's got X amount of pounds, let's take that money, and look at the benefit to us, look what we can charge them. If we can focus on giving the best investment experience, we'll keep the client for life, they'll work with us for life, they benefit and indirectly we benefit.
There are also signs that the media is becoming more receptive to the arguments for passive investing. Several independent internet sites, which, unlike the financial press, don't rely on fund management companies for advertising revenue and can therefore say what they really think about active funds, are also starting to recommend it.
You've got more and more websites like mine, Money Magpie, and also, of course, The Motley Fool, which has promoted passive investing for years. And more, I would say, people who know are saying, actually, you know, you're better off with passive funds. So that trickles down. It's like fashion, you know, when the top people are saying the same thing, and gradually they're moving in that direction. That does trickle down.
I'll forecast going forward, we'll see more and more of the money invested in the UK moving toward passive. The advantages are just too strong. As people become better informed, you see more and more people saying, I'm going to give it up. I have not succeeded in the past trying to invest actively. I'm going to give up trying to do that. I'm just going to go passive where I can be sure that that I will beat the average active investor.
There will always be a large number of people who are overconfident enough, a large number of participants who are overconfident enough that they'll try to beat the market. But at the same time, the pattern that you see and the trend that you see is of increasing passive management, particularly in this country. Assets are flowing away from active managers, away from stockbrokers, and they're flowing toward companies like Vanguard. They're flowing towards advisors who manage money passively. Where does it equilibrate out? I suspect 50-50 won't be far from it.
So, to summarise, passive investing has grown steadily in popularity in the United States since the 1970s and continues to do so. Passive already accounts for more than 30% of the institutional investment market in the UK. And increasingly, both financial advisors and independent experts are starting to recommend it to individual investors.